Alright guys, this is part 2 of 2, hopefully. I had to move because my phone was going dead. So I need to go turn on a light. Hold on 1 second. Sorry about that, I forgot to have sighted people watching this video. Sorry, people. Okay, let me just get comfortable here. Alright, so, let me just make sure my camera is way down there. Okay, I'm just gonna have to... There we go. Okay, I'm gonna try my best here. Alright, so, we had food and stuff, and then we went to the chapel, and a lot of stuff happened in between. I'm not going to go through all that, though, because it would be ruining the weekend for you all. So I was sitting there, and I was like, I'm not going to talk to anybody, like, we did this last night, like, I'm fine. And I started reading the creation story, and it really got to, crucifixion story, it really got to me, and I started crying a little bit, just a little bit, you know. They had a box of Kleenexes next to my chair eventually. They were like, here you go. The part where Jesus said, why have you abandoned me? That really got me. Oh, okay. It was because, you know, I'm like, oh my gosh, like, that's exactly how I felt this year. Like, God, where are you? Why would you leave me here? And I was so glad because Jesus knew what it felt like. And it just really got me, you know? Because even Jesus felt alone and was crying out to God. And like, I was like, oh my gosh, like, that's so cool. Like, it's awful, but cool because Jesus knows what I feel. What I felt this year and what I'm feeling a little bit sometimes, even now. Well, so then, so this one girl was talking to this other person, and like, she was really like hardcore crying, and I was like, oh, that's not gonna be me, like, I don't want to cry, but I was sort of like halfway there anyway, so I was like, well, okay. And so they went and got someone for me, because I was like, I want to speak to a spiritual director, and they were like, okay, well, so-and-so's over there. So they came over and they talked to me, and it felt so nice because they don't know me, I don't know them. I could tell them whatever I wanted to. Not that I would lie, but I mean, I could tell them, like, the truth, and I didn't have to sugarcoat it because they know my parents, so they're going to tell them this, or they know me, so they don't think that I am capable of thinking this or doing that, you know, like, they don't, this person didn't know who I was. So, you know, I could have whatever I could tell whatever I wanted to, whatever I needed to, and she wasn't going to judge me, and I was like, man, this feels like I'm at my therapist, like, really nice, except, you know, we're allowed to talk about God, because, you know, we're not, it's a church retreat thing, it's a Christian retreat. Oh man, so then I started talking to her, and I started with the very simple thing of, I lost my best friend this past year from COVID, and that just kind of spiraled from there. And then I started talking about the other things that had happened. I didn't go into detail about what happened. I just said something happened, and it destroyed my life as I knew it. And then I started crying, and it was like, I was like, I'm sorry, I just have snot, like, dripping out of my nose, and I need to go get a tissue and wipe. And like, I was so glad this box of tissues was right next to my chair, because I was like reaching down, grab a tissue, and then I would talk for a little bit, and I would cry again, grab some more tissues, and you know, I just laid it all out because I had nothing to lose, and I was already losing so much time on my life at this point. Like, but my big thing was, do I deserve God's love? Because if I couldn't forgive this person for what they did, then I couldn't be considered God's child. Because, you know, he says we're supposed to forgive people, and I can't. And I want to be able to. I want to be able to do that. Even now, I want to be able to. And I want to know, and I asked her this, I want to know if God can still love me even though I've turned away from him and or am angry with him or can't forgive this person. Like, is he still gonna care about me? Am I still loved by him? And, you know, that really got me, and as I was telling her this, I was crying, so I was like, does he love me still? And like, I was like, oh, this is awful, like, it probably wasn't that awful, but in my head it was awful, because I'm like, oh, I'm crying in public, and it was okay, though. Everybody else was crying, too. And, you know, I said, I'm worried about not having a friend. What if I don't have that friend ever again? And if I do make new friends, I feel like I'm disowning my friend by having friends. And, you know, I want my life back. But if I stop, if I let go of all this anger and this unforgiveness, I don't know who I'll be, because I've lost a lot of myself, and, like, what will be left? And then I asked her, I said, you know, it really scares me, because I have these really dark thoughts, and they don't stop, and I pray, and I ask God to take them away, and I tell Satan to stop. Because he tells me that this is all that's going to be in my life, and that God doesn't care about me because I didn't forgive this person, and so therefore, how can I expect God to care about me? And he says that I haven't done anything significant in my life, like nothing like major, but just like anything. Like I haven't been successful at life in general, and this is all there's ever going to be, and there's no hope of getting out of it, and that I can plead with God all I want to, but I can't forgive this person, and they're still taking control over my life, this person, because I'm not forgiving them, and I want it back. I want my life back, and it irks me that I am so angry at them that I can't forgive them. Like, is that even possible? I don't even know, but just like, it's so messed up. And somewhere in that conversation, I also said, you know, I hate strong emotion. Like, literally, I was like, I'm sorry for crying, I hate strong emotion. And she's like, it's fine. And I'm like, no, it's not. I don't like strong emotion. Like, it's awkward. And I think that's also something that Satan's been using, too, as a tool, as emotions. Because I kind of block things out. Like, if I don't want to feel them, I'm just like, not gonna feel that now. I've learned to be numb to things. I built this wall around myself of bricks, and I have, like, a hammer in my hand, but I can't break down those bricks because that's protecting me, And once those bricks fail, like, everything can come in, and I don't want it to, because I'm like, man, like, what if, all of these things that I built, or led people to believe that I built, as far as, mentally, people think I'm great, and I'm like, no, mentally I'm not. I'm really struggling, and I don't really show that to people, because, that's personal, and nobody talks about mental health. It's such a stigma. We're like, oh, you had a child, you went to the doctor. And then we're like, oh, you went to a therapist? Like, what's wrong with you? And I hate that stigma. I hate that shame that goes with it. But, yeah, so, surprise! I'm openly admitting on YouTube that I have some mental health issues. Yay me. They're getting better slowly. Kind of sometimes not really, but sometimes they are. It really depends. Okay, so anyway, I don't like crying in public, and I was like, oh, this is so awful. But it was nice because everybody else around me was crying too, so I didn't feel too awkward. But I was telling her that, it's like I want to feel things, but yet I don't, because I don't like feeling things, and I want my life back. And she said, well, are you ready to forgive that person? And I said, I don't know. I said, I want to, but I said, I don't know if I want to right now, because holding on to that anger is keeping me sane, I feel like, sometimes. And so if I let go of that, like, I don't know what to do. And I said, it might take me a while. And she said, that's fine, like, you can work on it at your own pace. It's a God thing. But when you forgive this person, you're not doing it for them. It doesn't mean that you forget the pain that they caused you or what they did to you. It doesn't mean that you're invalidating any of that. But it means that you're okay, that you're safe with God, and that you're going to be okay. It gives you peace. And I was like, man, I want that peace so bad, because, like, I don't know if you all know Cornelia ten Boom, or even Eva Kor, or what's his name? Like, a lot of the Holocaust survivors that speak out about it. Cornelia ten Boom is my favorite of all, because she's, like, awesome. She's passed away, but she was really cool. I never met her, but, like, oh my gosh, I wish I could. But she was struggling with this too, because the Nazis killed her family. They took her family, and she doesn't go into, I'm sure there was a lot of details that she didn't go into, that she saw. But she went back, and she was okay, and she forgave them, and it was really hard, and she kept asking God, okay, God, help me do this, and he did. And, like, my mind was blown, because she was at peace. And I was like, oh my gosh, like, please let me have that. I really, really want that so bad, because I don't like this. I don't like this anger, this fear, this hurt, this emptiness. So she said, once you do that, you'll have peace. It might not be great, it might be a choice you have to make every single day, but it will be freeing to you. And I'm gonna work on that. That's something I've been working on these past couple weeks, week and a half, is trying to forgive this person. It's not easy, and I'm struggling, and some days I don't want to, but I'm like, okay, God, like, help me to be okay, and help this person, because they did say pray for the person too, even though I don't want to, but I'm like, okay, God, like, help me to be okay. So then they also said this, and this one really got me as well. She got me a lot. Like, I really want to go find her and be like, hey, thank you, but I don't know where to find her. That'd be kind of weird, just like showing up and being like, hey, do you remember me? We talked about this 2 weeks ago. But she said that if I weren't strong and I weren't a target, Satan wouldn't be attacking me so much. And that really got me, because I'm like, man, I don't feel strong at all. Like, I feel like I'm failing at life and failing at death in general, because, like, I don't really have my life together. Like, everything's going to crap, and everything's failing, and I don't have a job, and every job that I've applied for, like, is falling apart. and my life is falling apart. And I don't have any friends besides, like, friends, but, like, I don't have a best friend. And she said, well, Satan wouldn't be giving you those kind of dark thoughts if he didn't consider you a target. And I was like, whoa, like, that's a whole new situation. That's a whole new way to think about it. Like, my mind is, like, blown. Like, it was like, because, I mean, I don't see myself as a person who is strong or can bring people to God or can even be motivational to people. Like, no, that's not me. Like, I'm not the person that does that. I don't feel like I am. I feel like I complain too much. I'm like, man, life sucks today. You know. But, it was just so weird, you know, because that's not how I see myself. And she's like, well, you know, you don't see yourself like that because you got Satan. That's what he's telling you to see. And I was like, oh my gosh, lady, like, you've got some ideas in my head. Like, I have to really think about this. Because, okay, like, for me, like, personally, this is my personal way of dealing with life. I think of it as a game. Okay, and so, like, people that tell me I'm gonna fail at life are, like, the people that are like, you're gonna suck, you're gonna fail. They're like the drain, and so, like, I'm walking and there's, like, a drain, and, like, the people that are cheering me on are, like, they're like the people that keep pushing me, like the river. Okay, so, like, the drain is, like, sucking and the river's, like, pushing, okay? And it's like a game, because they're, like, on either side of this, like, line, okay, and I'm, like, in the middle. And if I fall between one or the other of those sides, I'm either gonna fall off and drown in the river of the drain, or I'm gonna fall in the river and be able to swim and go far away into, like, not the drain. And so in my mind, Satan is on the drain end and God's on the other end, on the river. And Satan's knowing that these dark thoughts, that's my weakest point. And I've worked with my therapist on ways to decrease those, and they're working a little bit. It's not foolproof, but they're easing up. It's not as bad as they once were. But, you know, like I mentioned in one of my previous videos a while back ago, like a month ago, if I give up on my life, man, those people win. The people that say that I'm gonna suck at life and I'm never gonna succeed, they win. And I'm like, no, you're not gonna win. I want to win. I want to prove you wrong. And even though I don't care, and I'm working on not caring what people think, like, I don't want Satan to win. I don't want him to get control of my body. Like, no, that's me. I want to be in charge. I want God to be in control. And I don't want him to be all like, I win. Like, no, Satan, you're not going to win. Like, boo to you, you know? So, you know, it's definitely been a struggle, these coming back these weeks, because I've been applying for jobs, and I got one job that's, like, probably not going to happen because of all these hurdles that come up, but, you know, I've lost some of that hope as the weeks have gone by. I'm not, it's hard to find that, it's hard to hold on to that, and Satan's been using that, because he's like, look, like, you're in the same place you were, you're still failing at life. And I was like, yeah. And then what made it worse is someone actually told me that on the phone. Literally, like, they called me up and said, you're stuck at life. And I was like, thanks. And I was crying because that really got me, and mentally I was really struggling. And for the voices in my head, which are, like, not voices but thoughts that tell me I'm gonna fail, for someone to literally call me up and tell me that in person, in real life, like, that was awful. I was like, darn you, like, I don't need to know that. I know I'm failing, you don't need to tell me. I don't cuss, but in my head I was like, I really want to cuss so bad, but it wouldn't do any good. And then the craziest thing happened, because then our worship director at church called me up and said, hey, do you want to speak to the church on Sunday? And I was like, no, I don't. But I was like, sure. And I was like, oh crap. And I spoke, and I was concerned because I didn't know what to do and how to say it and stuff. And I was like, okay, God, like, help me do this. And he did. And the weird part was it all went together with the message, which was not planned. It just flowed together. And also, people came up to me and said they were going to ask me to pray for their children, which I was like, whoa, okay, that's a big offer. Like, why me? Why do you want me to pray for your children? I am praying for them, but I was like, whoa, man, like, for real, are you sure? Like, I don't even have my life together. Why do you want me to pray for your children? Like, you should probably ask someone that doesn't have that has their life together more than me. But they asked me, and so I was like, okay, I can't tell you no. But I was so honored by that. I'm like, why? And then, as far as like PTSD and stuff, like, that was nice because it wasn't that bad when I was at the Sojourn. I was shocked. I was like, whoa, it does end eventually. It's okay. And then when I got back into reality, it hit me, but it's not been as bad as it has been. But like, I spoke at the church, Sunday, which today's Tuesday, and, as I was leaving, I was trying to calm down because there was a crowd, and I was like trying to breathe, and Beacon had to pee, and I was like running outside because Beacon was going to be on the floor if I didn't get her outside fast enough. And people kept grabbing my arm, and like, it took everything I had not to like scream. Because I don't like being touched, which is very weird because literally at the Sojourn, people were touching me, and I was fine. Like, I felt like I did before. Like, I felt this peace, and it didn't really bother me. And it was so awkward because I was like, guys, like, people are touching me and I'm okay. Like, what do I do? It was so weird, but it was really nice to be touched, and not have to be afraid. One of my goals on my bucket list of life is to get a massage, and I want to be okay with touch, because I think I might have mentioned this too somewhere at the Sojourn, but like, if I can't touch people, how am I gonna ever get a boyfriend or a husband? Like, seriously, like, what if I never do, So now my prayers are just like, hey God, help me be okay with this person touching me. Hey God, help me be okay with this person giving me a hug. Oh, by the way, I also want to pray for so-and-so. God and I talk a lot. We've been talking a lot since the Sojourn. And, I cried, like, so much, and we had like, a lot of different things that happened there, too, but I felt like it was nice to cry because I spent all that time not feeling anything, building my bricks, and my bricks were starting to crumble, and I was like, okay, God, I guess I'm gonna cry now, like, yay. So yeah, God and I have been talking, and I've come more to lean on His power. I've learned that He's not going to leave me alone in the emptiness, and that really got to me. And I have to remind myself of that whenever Satan tries to pull me down the drain of life sucks, and it's always going to suck. Because, ultimately, I survived what happened to me. I'm still here, I'm still breathing. And so, every time I breathe, I think about, well, not every time, but like when I think about this, I do. I'm like, I'm still breathing, so there's still room for God to use my life as whatever He wants me to do and to be. I don't know what that is. I don't know if it's even being a coda because jobs are not coming, and I don't know what I should do. But I'm still alive, so God has the opportunity to use me. I don't know what it is, but I have to trust in God. And I'm like, I struggle with that. I struggle with that a lot because I don't trust people, so I don't trust God very well. And so I'm relearning that. I'm submitting myself to God and asking Him to help me trust Him more. And eventually I'll read you my poems that I wrote, but they're personal, so some of them I won't read on YouTube yet. But eventually I want to get there. But the reason that I read my poem out to the group on Saturday night was because, one, God was like, you're doing it anyway, and I was like, no, and He's like, too bad for you. And also, I didn't know if it would help other people. I didn't know what they were going through. We didn't talk about it. We didn't go in depth. But I know people were struggling, and if my words could help people, then who am I to be like, nah, I'm good. So I'm gonna start posting more of my poems online, and this is my year of being real with people. This is probably the most real I've been in a while, as far as talking about my pain and grief. And you know, that's the other thing that bothers me is people say that grief gets better with time, and I'm like, does it really? Question mark. Because I still miss my friend. I still miss her a lot, and sometimes I find myself crying over the dumbest things. Like, I got a wine glass the other day and I drank sparkly grape juice, and I wanted to call her and tell her that because I felt like I was a fancy rich person drinking out of a wine glass without wine. Oh, hold on.
Sojourn. Plus 1, 4, Lincoln, Eddie. Decline, button, answer call, button, answer call, button. Decline, button, Lincoln, Eddie. Plus 1, 4, 0, 2, 4, 8, 8, 0, 9, 8, 1. Lincoln, decline, answer call, button. Decline, answer call.